All right, tell me how many of you can relate to this. You're talking normally, conversationally to a friend of yours, right? And as soon as the camera turns off, you become conscious. You start to talk in a more exaggerated way and start to try to remember what you want to say. That happens to everybody. It's because the camera is an inanimate object, it's not a person. So, what I want to do is I want to teach you a very special and cool technique today. It's called the interview technique. It's something that I use with my clients to help them present more naturally on camera. So, we're going to get into that today. So, are you ready? Hey Go-Getter, it's Salma Jafri. I'm the founder of YouTube Launchpad, the foundational course to grow your personal brand with video. The link to the course is in the description below. And be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want visibility, credibility, and profitability for your YouTube channel. Also hit the bell icon. Let's begin. Now I'm going to tell you what the interview technique is, and I'm going to divide it into 3 sections. So first I'm going to tell you what the interview technique is. I'm going to tell you why it works, and then I'm going to tell you how to use it for your YouTube videos. So make sure you stay all the way till the end. Jam-packed video episode. Let's get into it. Okay. So what is the interview technique? So you want to prepare 4 things in advance for a interview. And I'm going to tell you who to interview in just a sec, or rather who's going to interview you. The 4 things you need are a topic, 3 questions your interviewer should ask you, your intro, how you're going to introduce yourself, and your call to action, also how you will end your video. Okay, so the 4 things you need to prepare are these. Now, I'll put some examples up on screen of these 4 things. So here's one example, and here's another example. So once you have these 4 things charted out, written down, the next thing you want to do is your setup. So for this interview technique to work, you need some online interview software. So I typically recommend Zoom. You could use something else like, I don't know, WhatsApp or Google Meet or Skype or FaceTime or whatever, but it must have the ability to record. So that's why I like to use Zoom, because even on the free version, you can do a 45-minute recording, and we will not be doing that long, right? So free version of Zoom works best for this. Okay, so obviously the next thing you need to do is record the interview. This is absolutely essential. The third thing in your setup is to identify someone to interview you. It could be a friend, a colleague, a partner, a spouse, even a kid. Now, the idea of the interview technique is to get comfortable on camera, and it is to be able to mimic your interview and your conversation actually on camera. So you want to conduct the interview, or you want to tell the person to conduct the interview in an informal, chatty style, laid back, relaxed interview style, which is why I said choose somebody you're really comfortable with to interview you. Now, inside my YouTube coaching program called YouTube Intensive, we actually assign accountability partners who interview each other. But if you're doing this at home, then you just want to assign somebody who would be comfortable interviewing you. Why does the interview technique work so well? Reason number 1 is because it causes an energy exchange. See, this is what happens when we are talking to another person. We're emitting our energy and we're taking in their energy. So their facial movements, their gestures, their hand gestures, their eye blinking, all of that, we're sort of taking in that energy and mirroring it or reciprocating it, right? And so when somebody interviews you and you talk with them, there is an energy exchange going on, which makes the conversation way more natural. The other reason is that when we're actually talking to a person, we're coming up with things to say in the moment. So even though we've written down the 3 questions that they should ask us and we have a topic in mind, we're actually not going back and thinking, what did we want to say about this? Like, we're not thinking back to our script. We're not being rehearsed. We're actually coming up with the answers in the moment, which makes our delivery a lot more natural and authentic. We're also more authentic in our responses, because when people ask us follow-up questions that we did not expect, we kind of answer them on the fly, right? And this is kind of why I recommend structuring your videos rather than scripting out your videos word for word. Because when you script them out word for word, you sound rehearsed because you are always trying to remember what you've written down. Versus when you structure them, you're able to stay on point, but come up with things to say in the moment, which just makes your delivery more natural. Of course, this requires a little bit of practice and rehearsal, but it sounds way more natural. And then the fourth reason is that we're able to make eye contact with the person interviewing us. And that just helps so much with like actually connecting with our viewer on camera. So now that we know how to do this interview and we know why this interview technique works, let's get to the next part of it, which is how to use this technique to make your YouTube videos sound more natural and to present better on camera. So the first thing you want to do is to watch your recording. This is why I said recording it is so important, because I don't know why people think that they can be on camera without ever watching themselves. Don't do that to yourself. Don't just wing it, right? Actually watch the recording with a critical eye, right? So the things that you want to look out for are, what are your eye movements like? What are your hand movements like? How often do you blink? What kind of words do you use over and over again? Like, we all have phrases or words that we repeat, like in natural conversation, right? You want to bake them into your script. You want to say, oh, well, I say this all the time. Let me just put that in my script because I already say this and I'm already so natural with it. So those are the kind of things that you're looking at. The idea is to emulate the video style with the interview in your actual YouTube video. So when you sit down to make your YouTube video, you watch your interview video and kind of do the same things that you did there. Your hand movements, your eye movements, your words, your body language, all of that. Pay attention to the interview video and then emulate that for your YouTube video. Another trick is, instead of talking to the camera or to the lens, actually talk to the person who interviewed you. So this is really easy to do if you've actually done it. So that person has actually interviewed you. You kind of have a sense of how that went, and you can see them, you can hear them asking you questions, you can see the smile on their face, all of that. So you can envision it again for when you actually sit down to film YouTube videos. You can imagine that person sitting and talking with you again. That's going to relax your demeanor, bring a smile to your face, and make you seem a lot more natural. Okay, let's pause for a second here, because my husband just came and told me that you might be confused about whether this interview should go up on YouTube or whether you should emulate the interview style and make a new YouTube video. And I just want to say, either is fine when you're starting out. So you can actually use the interview and put that up as a way to show people that here's you talking on camera without you actually looking at the camera, because you're looking at the interviewer, right? So you can actually just put that up as well, just as a practice run. Or you can use that interview and film a looking at the camera YouTube video based on the things you learned from the interview. Typically, when I'm in the coaching program, I teach people to emulate it, but you could do either. So you just want to make that clear. So inside YouTube Intensive, my coaching program, I actually teach clients how to envision their ideal client to talk to, because we're trying to attract like customers and clients with our YouTube channels, right? So it's good to have like a bio persona mapped out and know who the ideal client is, who you want to attract, and sort of use language that would be attractive to them. If you've noticed, I start my videos by saying, hey, go-getter. Why do you think that is? Right? It's because I want to attract people who are ready to take action. I want to attract people who are going to do stuff, who are going to create videos, who may need my help to do so, right? So the language and the words that you choose are going to attract the kind of people that you want to attract. So you can be mindful of that. All right, so once you have your interview technique down and you've done this a couple of times, then the next thing to do is to get your pre-camera routine really down. So you want to, every time you sit to record or stand to record or whatever, you want to make sure that you get in the zone. You have the energy, you know who you're talking to. And for that, I have a really cool download for you. It's called my pre-camera routine checklist. All the steps I take to get camera ready. You can download that from the link in the description below. And also go and watch my entire camera confidence playlist, which I'm going to link to right over here. It's going to give you a ton more ideas about how to be natural on camera. And finally, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What is the biggest thing that makes you feel awkward on camera? What makes you freeze up on camera? Tell me in the comments below and let's work through it.